Welcome to a brand new section of the show then, where we're going to bring you news of all the latest biking gear, gadget and innovations that hit the shelves here at J&S Accessories. Now, as this is our first in the series, we thought we'd start at the top and look at a rather, well, essential piece of kit to wear when you're riding, and that is your helmet. Now, I can't emphasise how important it is to go out and buy a decent helmet. In fact, there's no excuse nowadays. Most dealers offer 0% finance on your gear, even with a package to buy your bike and do your test at the same time. So, where, when it comes to buying a helmet, is a good place to start. The thing is, there are so many helmets out there and so many different styles. Which one do you choose? Well, a lot of people look up to their racing idols when it comes to picking a helmet, and that's not a bad idea because the racers, well, their heads, they're worth quite a lot of money, so they're generally wearing the most latest high-tech helmets on the market. But what helmet does your favourite racer wear? Well, we thought we'd go through some of the biggest names in racing today and tell you how you can buy a street-legal road-going version of their lid. First up, there's the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Mr. Valentino Rossi. Now, Valentino Rossi, I don't know if you know this, has all his actual helmets designed, and he gets through more than most by his best mate Aldo Drudi. Now, what's quite cool, a little bit of trivia for you, is that on each of his designs, he generally has featured at some point a sun and a moon, and that's to reflect both sides of his personality. Pretty deep, it's got to be said. Anyway, he's been developing this helmet, the AGV Pista GP, with AGB since 2009, and Mr. Rossi knows a thing or two about helmets. Now, I'm not going to lie, it comes in at the very high end of the market, looking at £800 for this bad boy, but it is incredibly light. It's made fully of carbon. As you can see, it has a rather unique design, a massive field of vision, and supposedly the best ventilation in the business. Also, it's got loads of little fins at the back to provide stability and aerodynamic at high speed. But it's not just Rossi that wears this on the grid. Oh no, it's Bradle, Iannone and many more, and I think you can probably see why. Let's be honest, it looks sexy, and for a helmet, that's a pretty rare thing, and it's probably the trickiest piece of kit I've seen. So if you wanted to emulate someone a little bit closer to home, how about our very own alien in the world of MotoGP, the calculator Cal Crutchlow, World Supersport champion and now regular podium finisher. He wears this, the Arai RX-7 GP. Again, it comes packed full with the latest technology, and a bit I really like, it's actually got a little adjustable lower wing on the back to help with stability. It's also light and extremely comfortable. It still comes in at the high end of the price range though, with the actual Cal Crutchlow replica I've got in my hands here, costing $699, although you can buy the bog standard version of the helmet, which is just as good, without the pretty colour scheme, for £580. But for that money, you will be replicating the best and most talented rider in MotoGP at the moment. I've got to say that he's British. What about your world champion Jorge Lorenzo? Well, he this year has signed to HJC, a manufacturer of helmets who are kind of new to the racing scene, and he wears this, the RPH-10, a helmet that was actually designed and developed by, as you can see on the back, the sourpuss of the MotoGP grid, Ben Ask My Mum Spees. But you can get the Lorenzo colours on this helmet as well, and the fact that Lorenzo is now working to develop it is kind of cool. Now, this is a really good helmet, although it doesn't quite have some of the more innovative features of the other lids we've looked at. It's still light, airy, and the great thing is because it's not fully carbon, so a little bit heavier but not massively noticeable, it's not going to break the bank. You can buy the actual Lorenzo exact replica for £400 or a standard one without any of these special paint schemes on for a mind-boggling £200. So sticking with Brits, how about the man that's dominating the Moto2 World Championship at the moment, has a certain style on and off a bike, Mr. Scott Redding. He wears this, the Shark Race R Carbon Pro. Now, it's a pretty trick helmet, but it's not just Mr. Redding in the paddock that wears it. Other Brits like the Lowe's brothers, Tom Sykes in World Superbikes, and even Sylvain Guintoli, and hell, guess what, even I don the Shark Race R Pro Carbon. It's a carbon Arabid mix which makes it extremely light, and one of the big focuses for Shark is they've got their riders to test the stability of this helmet. You can see with the fins at the back at over 300 kilometers on track, which makes a big difference. So Scott's actual fully replicated Race R Pro Carbon will set you back £480, which is actually a lot cheaper than the rivals, and it's got pretty much all the same tech. But what I like about this as well is you can, like a few other manufacturers will do, buy the Scott Redding replica in a cheaper model helmet, which will probably only set you back about £180 or £200, so don't forget to have a look for those because you could grab yourself a bargain. Now, if you like your races even more closer to home, for the Morecambe missile and TT legend John McGuinness and the most successful British superbike rider of all time, Shaky Burn, their choice of lid is this, the Shoei X Spirit 2. Now, it's made of a carbon composite, which means it isn't quite as light as some of the full carbon lids, but it does score really high on comfort and vision. And I tell you what, it's a massive improvement on the old X Spirit. They've increased the aperture size, they've increased ventilation, and they have fitted a spoiler at the back to aid stability. Now again, this is at the higher end of the spectrum. The race replicas will cost you £639, but the good thing is you can buy a bog standard X Spirit 2 like this one for a much more paltry £520. And it's not just Messrs McGuinness and Burn who wear this lid. Expect Mark Marquez, Bradley Smith and also Eugene Laverty to be rocking the X Spirit 2. So there you have it, a selection of the best helmets on the market which allow you to emulate your favourite racer. Now obviously these are much at the higher end of the spectrum of helmets, and we'll be looking at some quality budget options later on in the series.